So before the video starts, I wanted to give you some quick intro, some notification, something that might be for you. So since September 1st, I kind of changed my content. So on this channel, instead of just making gameplay videos, take deck, win games, that's it. I changed my content in the way where I take multiple games, cut them together, and then make a voiceover, make some transition in between, underlay some music. We have like 8 to 10 layers usually. Why am I telling you that? You might have seen it on the community page, but we now have another channel. It's called Daily Solem for exactly what happened before September 1st. Daily uploads for Wild gameplay. Exactly how it used to be. The way this channel got to 50,000 subs. Most of the comments are about how you prefer the newer style of videos, but some of you would like to have the old style back. And for that exactly, we have the second channel. Think about it like the second channel from Lieutenant Eddie. It's his raw channel where he uploads gameplay for people who would like to have daily content. The link is in the description down below, it's also in the pinned comment. And starting now pretty much, there's going to be one daily upload. And now, let's talk about Beast Druid. One of those niche archetypes that never worked was Beast Druid. There were so many support cards made for that, like at least 4. For example, we have Vermin Sensei. Give a beast +2/+2. We have Wild Walker. Give a minion +3 health. We even have Menagerie Warden. Menagerie. That's an entire archetype made in Karazhan. Did it ever work? Well, yeah, no it didn't. It didn't quite work out. So I thought, hey, I'm a wild player. I have access to all the cards because I spend too much money. Why not build something like a Beast Druid? Maybe that would work. Maybe I find a mid-range list. Something that is not just summon minions and go face, but have synergy in between cards and make it somehow work. And you can guess by the brightness of my background light that I managed to build a deck that actually works. Now on a scale from 1 to 85, I would give it a solid 42. I'm not sure what that even means, but I can tell you 100%, based on the games I played with that deck, it performed better than you would expect. Let's take a look at the first game. This game is going to be the perfect example on how you can cover it well when you play this deck. You have something like Voracious Reader on turn 2. You might skip a turn 1, but it's only turn 1. In many cases, you have something like a side quest that you can play. Not really many 1-drops though. When your opponent plays Demon Hunter, summons some minions, it's whatever. Your minion dies, doesn't matter too much. You have Shando. Shando is basically Keleseth, but you don't have to have no 2-drops in your deck, or like Tadarom, no 3-drops. You can have as many 3-drops as you want to. You just play it and buff the entire deck. Your opponent deals damage face, doesn't matter. You top deck a Raptor, which then, even if it dies, summons another minion. It's pretty much piloted Shredder, but for 1 mana less. And the more minions you play, the more value you generate. The more minions you play, the more value you generate. And your opponent might use all their resources to trade into your stuff over and over. You're out of cards, doesn't matter too much. You have your 5/4 draw 2 cards. And because it has stealth, it very likely survives for 1 turn. When your side quest for 1 single mana also finishes, you usually summon something like a 3-drop or higher cost. Now, obviously it's random, it is RNG based on what you're going to get. But sometimes, at least in most cases when I played the side quest and then finished that, I get a 4-drop or a 5-drop in almost every single case. When you also have Menagerie Warden on turn 6 after your turn 5 Twilight Runner, you can summon a copy of your stealth minion. So for 6 mana you summon a 10/9 and 1 is going to draw 2 cards for you. Your opponent can't really do much against that. Unless there's something like a giant bot clear, there's really just a bunch of small things that trade into your minions that they then get overwhelmed by. Even if your first Twilight Runner dies. Doesn't matter. You top deck big minion after big minion for only a couple mana. You go face, you draw more cards, you hero power, you get +2 attack. Every single time you do anything in this deck, you have an additional benefit. And with extra benefits, you deal extra damage, putting your opponent down to 4 health. And even if they play a Wrathscale Naga, what do they really do? They are too far behind to even have a chance of winning. They play a couple 1-drops, you can ignore that, you aim face, and you can see why this deck is so good against Demon Hunters that play basic cards for their Demon Hunter. I don't want to discredit my achievement of building a good deck, but to be fair, my opponent's playstyle in the opener was not the fastest you have ever seen. If you don't skip mana crystals and the opponent does skip mana, you will end up winning the mid game and then eventually get lethal. Now the side quest you play in here, Strength in Numbers, requires you to pay 10 mana in total for minions that you summon. And if you play it on turn 1, at like turn 5 or 6, you usually summon a random minion from your deck because you do finish that. I think in really almost every single game I played with that side quest and finished that, I got at least a 4-drop out of that. It is very similar to the side quest in Mage in which you summon a 6/6 after you spend 8 mana on spells. Even though you lose your turn 1, because you win in the mid game anyways, you put in additional pressure by just getting something from your deck. And while I just mentioned the side quest for Mage, let's play against the Mage. And in this game, you will see how good an early game can be when you play it in this deck. While your opponent skips turn 1, we summon a Raven and then also give it +2/+2 and draw a card. Mark of Yasharash is one of those cards that always kinda saw play, even in token decks back then. Now you don't really see the card too much anymore, because they're just better ways of winning the game, but it's still Hand of Aldar for only beasts. Due to Lightning Bloom, we can summon our Twilight Runner, summon a 5/4 with Stealth. Your opponent can't do anything against Stealth, unless your opponent plays something like Blizzard or Flame Strike. They can't really deal with that at all. So if you then use a second Lightning Bloom and use a Wild Walker to make it a 5/7, what can they really do on turn 4 or turn 5? Well, they can watch us draw cards, that's for sure. They can also take a look at Tice's thumbnails, because they are getting better and better over time. Now, there might be a Thanos, there might be Coin into Forgotten Torch, but it only kills 1 minion, and that is not even your draw engine. So when you go face again, your 1 minion that you summoned on turn 2 or turn 3, depending on if you have the Coin and Lightning Bloom or just Lightning Bloom, already draw your 4 cards and become a 5/7. We hero power, remove Thanos because we don't know how much damage they are going to deal with spells. And we see that one arena card, which discovers a spell, I think. Needless to say, we have a 5/7, we have Menagerie, it's glowing kinda yellow, we should use that, and we summon a copy of the 5/7 and remove their 4/4. You see that board? You see those stats, and it's only turn 6. And what happens on turn 6 or turn 7? Yep, board clears and freezing the entire field. There is going to be a Blizzard from the opponent freezing our stuff, but we can summon a combatant, finish our side quest, summon a Vermin Sensei, and deal 3 damage face by just hero powering. Where the opponent plays another secret and then discovers a random spell with Primordial Glyph, I know for sure that the only secret I would lose to is Ice Block and or Flame Ward, so we play around that. We buff our 2 health minion by +2/+2 with Vermin Sensei, so it wouldn't die to Flame Ward, attack with a 5/1 to draw additional cards, see that we were right about Flame Ward, cry as our board dies, and see how the opponent goes down. In this game, Twilight Runner itself drew like 10 cards, and there was only turn 7 when we had lethal. Imagine the game would go on longer. Imagine Guardian Animals would have not been nerfed. That card could draw more and more cards for you. And you might be thinking at this point, you play Wild Walker and you play Menagerie Warden in here. Those cards are kinda good, but not really. What if you don't have a beast? What if you play those cards without a beast on the field? You just have stats and you pay too much mana for that. You don't want to pay 4 mana for a 4/4. You don't want to pay 6 mana for a 5/5. That's just bad, and that is also the problem. The beast synergy that we have in this deck only works if you have a beast already on the field. Mark of Yasharash, Wild Walker, Menagerie, Vermin Sensei, those cards don't do a single thing when you don't already have a beast. So you can think about this deck like a mech deck, where you have to have a mech to magnetize stuff onto it. If you happen to have nothing on the field and you fall behind, you can't really come back. You don't have a board clear, you don't have a way to reset the field back to how it was. So what is kinda important in here is that you get a 1 or 2 drop and find an opponent that doesn't remove all your stuff. And if you find an opponent that removes stuff or doesn't, depends on the random cards they have in the deck, which is similar to Random Mage, which we face next. This time again, we do happen to have a 1 drop instead of a side quest. And while the opponent uses their Primordial Glyph to discover something, we get 2 random beasts. I have to say, for a 1 mana spell that gives you 2 random cards, a 2-cost beast and a 3-cost beast, it is not that bad. It's basically a 1-card draw 2 that is kinda useful. In most cases though, it doesn't do too much. We use Wild Walker to buff our 1/3 to make it a 1/6 for no particular reason. I just wanted to have the stats on the field. It gets frozen by Frostbolt, we summon our Raven, and then we summon Speaker Ghidra. Turns out the Primordial Glyph our opponent used gave them a random Flame Strike though. Well, the one weakness of this deck is losing on the field. So if you happen to face somebody with a Flame Strike on turn 5, it resets everything. For just 5 mana down a good top deck, we can summon Teacher's Favorite Pet. A 4/5 top mana that then, when your opponent plays Alak, gets devolved not just once or twice, but yeah, all 3 times. Devolving missiles happen to hit the exact same target 3 times in a row. Isn't that great? Menagerie Warden summons a 1/2, so we have a 6 mana 6/7, those are good stats for the cost, and our bot gets frozen. Turns out when your opponent plays an Alak that remembers all the spells they played so far, the one single thing they have on the field is going to give them a lot of value. The random Snap Freeze from the random destroyed one of our minions, in this case Ghidra, which I think in every case I played the minion had no effect because the spell burst doesn't really happen. We don't play that many spells. But we play our Guardian, and Guardian means the opponent can't target that. While they trade Alex and try to ping our 6/5, which doesn't work due to the targetable effect, we buff our beast not just once, but twice, using Wild Walker as well as Mark of Yasharash. The Wild Walker buff gets onto our 6/5 just because if our opponent doesn't get a random bot clear, there's no way they can target that. So having that above 5 health makes it so it probably won't die. Out of nowhere, the enemy decides to be a heal class now, plays a 4/4 that restores 4 health as well as a Rotten Apple Bomb, but we use our Marsh Hydra and get a 5/4 for free. This quest, as mentioned, is better than expected. Even the random card from Marsh Hydra gives us Katie. Katie resurrects a random minion that died this game on your side of the field. But you don't know if that is going to resummon a 1/1 or like a 7 drop. It can be anything. because random is random, like Puzzle Box of York, which is random. Yeah, there are 10 spells that are random and we can't do anything against that. There might be Divine Spirit and there might be, oh, there's Doom. What I couldn't fully understand is the copy a minion spell effect copied a minion that was already dead due to Doom. So they have a 4/8 now. Well, my 1 minion that survived because of the Reborn effect, it's that. Yeah, there's a Light Bomb, doesn't do anything, and there's Psychic, which does remove things. So the entire board, which used to be there, is gone. Opponent, 10 cards in hand. Us, playing around a secret. Because it could have been Polymorph, it could have been summon a copy of this minion. It could have been anything else. We see our favorite spell from the enemy again. The Evolving Missiles, which was shuffled into the deck and drawn back due to Educated Alec. It hits our Katie, wow, isn't that a good 7-drop? Which I think is one of the worst possible 7-drops you could have gotten. After all of that happens though, our opponent draws 2 cards for them as well as for us. And while they summon Solarian, their own minion dies randomly because of random. The minions we had though, they don't matter. Ray of Frost exists. Luckily though, I know how to top deck things correctly. We play double Savage Combatant, Hero Power, get a total of +4 attack with our Hero Power +5, and I'm faced. To be fair though, I should have not attacked with the Wisp first. I should have dealt 5 damage first, set them down to 1 and then use Wisp to trigger Ice Block at 1 health. But well, as you can tell, that didn't matter too much. Now as always, I show you some wins. I wouldn't make this video if I would lose every single game with this deck. So I got a question for you. We played exactly 10 games with this deck. How many games do you think I won? You know it's at least 3. I give you exactly 4 more seconds to think, and the answer is actually all 10. This deck went 10-0, but I don't want to mislead you. This is not a Michael Reeves video about lies and deception. I played this deck like 2 days before the season ended, meaning that I faced people that were between bronze and gold, which means those are people who play their own decks, they play meme decks, they put in cards that are not optimal. If you were to play this deck against real decks, let's say any Warlock deck that runs a Taunt Minion, a Kingspin Rogue, or just a Mage that has Flamewaker, I don't think this Druid deck would work, really. Now, obviously, it can. Every single thing can high roll. And there was even somebody called Hailung in like 2018 or 19, I think, who played even Druid to Legend. There's always the way that you can have the right opener against the enemy's deck. In this case, though, your opponent needs to kind of skip the first 2 turns for you to get the ball rolling. And if that doesn't happen and they get back on the field, the only way for you to win is if something like that happens. Oh, it's a lethal. We won. With that skillful play at the end, I would say thank you very much for watching. It was live streamed on twitch.tv, where we stream Hearthstone stuff. As mentioned in the beginning, if you would like to see like the normal gameplay of this without me making voiceovers and stuff, it's going to be uploaded soon to my second channel. But this style of video is something that I would personally watch over normal gameplay. But tastes are different. Maybe it's something for you. Boys and 2% girls, leaving a like is free. Here's the outro, and take care.